Laptop open on the counter, cold compiling, toast pops hot. Phone keeps buzzing, group chat screaming. Who's on snack run?
Welcome to the Neo Notebook, a podcast dedicated to the MacBook Neo. We're a panel of real users, podcasters, and tech-savvy consumers, and we dig into the latest news, hands-on experiences, and everything this remarkable little machine can do. I'm Marty, an associate professor, podcaster, and longtime Apple enthusiast based in the Midwest.
I am Dave Ginsburg, the host of the In Touch with iOS podcast with a deep passion for technology, especially Apple, and even MacBook Neos and how it's used in real-world environments.
I'm Eric Bolden. I worked in IT with a passion for finding creative ways to share content. Currently, photographies of plants, birds, panoramic sequences, and whatever else shows up on a given day.
All right, I'm Brett Kennedy. I've been a Mac user for 33 years, and I have side interests in photography, videography, and in traveling.
Well, make the way to make that one sound real natural, all you guys. It's a wonderful, wonderful intro to the process. We've got some great things on the show tonight. We're going to cover some stories about benchmark and performance, some reviews. They keep coming out. And also the market impact and broader trends that are happening. You know, people are speculating about how this is going to impact the laptop market and how the Neo Notebook's going to impact it and affect it in a way. And finally, we're going to talk about what we think are necessary accessories. So we've got a lot in the show. Probably won't go through all of the articles, but they will be part of the show notes. And you can find the show notes on the notes within the video broadcast that we will publish, and also within the audio podcast that we will publish. So look for all the links in there that we'll talk about, and some that we won't talk about on the show just because of time constraints. So I searching for articles. I went in this morning and started searching for articles, and you all have contributed in a lot of ways to this through our week through the chat. But first I wanted to go and see if there's anything in articles. So I did a search for the week, and Brian says, "Good evening to everybody." And Craig says, Neo. But in doing a search, there were like 1,200 articles in the last week.
It's very, very popular.
Many of those, it's soaking up the media news cycle, I think. There have been some other things that have hit the market, like the fact that they've discontinued the Mac Pro. Those kinds of things that have pulled some of the media away from it. But people are still talking about it in multiple posts, multiple articles in multiple languages. So it was kind of a challenge to get through all of them. And I didn't go the whole week. I kind of, at one point, went through the whole week as quickly as I could after I got so far into it and said, really, there's nothing new. There is really nothing in, after 3 days, there's not a lot more we can add to this. And believe me, we have a lot of links in the show, some things that are interesting. So I'm just going to start out because every show we start to talk about what have we done with it. And so I'm going to ask if you've tested any new items or software on the Neo, and we'll go to Eric first.
Oh, I guess I won't type there. New item software. I guess it's not new. This week's adventure was, I used the Neo with a Vision Pro for the Mac Virtual Display, and for whatever reason, today I couldn't get the Mac Virtual Display to work at all. And I tried everything. And usually, I can go and like share my Vision Pro display to the computer and then it works, but nothing. So finally I said, well, I can't get it to work any other way and I really need to see this. So I went to the Neo and I said, okay, Neo, just mirror your display to the Vision Pro. And lo and behold, I get the Mac Virtual Display. It works faster than any other way I've tried it. It's convenient. It's reliable. It's not nearly so much of a hit and miss as what I had before. So maybe that's going to be the new interface. I'm not really sure. But if you have problems for whatever reason with the Mac Virtual Display, go to the computer and tell the computer to mirror its display to the Vision Pro, and it just works.
Ah, okay. Well, that's cool. And I'll have to try that out. We've had some updates recently, and I don't know if that's particular to the updates that have gone on with both the Neo and the Vision Pro. So we'll see if whether that was the case. This week, I tried Ecamm, and I know Eric was there and Dave was there, and we were able to get Ecamm running and recording. And we recorded for about 5 minutes, and it's stored on my Neo. And, so I guess it's possible to do a show if we were going to do a show. Now, here's the thing. The place where I would use it would be as if I was traveling, which means I would be generally in slower internet than what I have in my home. So I would, like, if I'm in a hotel room, this might not be the best place for me to initiate a Ecamm transmissions. But in my home, it worked fine if I wanted to use it as an alternative. The next time I travel, I'm going to try and do this from hotel Wi-Fi, or maybe even just coupled with my phone, and see if I can get on a good 5G network off of my phone to do it. The other thing that I tried, and maybe we'll save that for accessories, was a multi-port SSD on it. I know Eric also had one. We'll talk about maybe with accessories. And then the last thing I tried was Adobe Creative Suite. Premiere, Audition, and Acrobat are the apps that I use from it. And it's functional. We have an article later on that has a person who used Lightroom in it and used some other, used Premiere in it. And he was doing some heavy duty work on it and was challenged by it. But we can talk about that soon when we get to it. Anybody else try anything new?
So the new software I did for the Neo is I have a couple of apps that I use that require Rosetta, which is the translation layer for apps that were compiled to run on the Intel Macs, so that those apps will run on the Apple Silicon. And the two apps, they're pretty basic apps. It was Carrot Weather and the TripIt app, because as we've been talking, we're all getting our summer travel plans in order. So I wanted to have TripIt on there to organize some plans I have coming up. And these aren't terribly sophisticated apps. They don't challenge the processor too much. But going into owning a MacBook Neo, I was determined to try to make this be as stripped down, bare bones setup as possible. So at first, installing Rosetta seemed to be like something I would want to avoid just because of the computer's limited resources. But ended up being pretty fantastic. It worked great. Rosetta didn't take up too much of the disk space. As of right now, I'm still under half of the 512 gigs I have for storage on here. And it has worked really well.
Cool. Anything new, Dave? You've had a busy week, I know.
Yeah, it's been pretty busy. Tried a little bit with the Creative Studio from Apple, and seems like they're solid. They're working really well. was running that. I actually had to rebuild this MacBook Neo because I had done the stupid thing by restoring a time machine from my Mac Mini. So, because I had to do it with my MacBook Pro too as well. So I said, why am I doing this? Just do a complete nuke and pave and be done with it.
Yeah.
So I've been slowly installing everything on my MacBook Pro as well as on this Neo. So, but
Yeah.
the process goes pretty seamless for the most part. It's interesting with the 26.4 update that you are able to, share your screen on, if like my Mac Mini would have my MacBook Neo or my MacBook Pro screen, so I could be controlling it because I started moving my mouse and I'm like, what the hell is this? What is going on here? Well, I didn't do this, but I guess it does automatically connect it now in 26.4. And you can disable it, but it does it does show as one of the monitors that you have available to you. So
Yeah. Cool. Eric, I want to. You spoke about something pre-show about going to an Apple store, and then kind
Oh,
of, yeah,
yeah. So I was going to an Apple store actually to get a screen on another laptop repaired. So I, of course, went over and took a look at the Neos. I hadn't seen Blush yet, so I kind of was curious. So I went to go look at it. The keyboards are nice and readable on Blush, almost as readable. Well, pretty similar to the Silver, I think. I still prefer the citrus, and indigo is really cool. I'm just not sure about the keyboard color. Any rate, so I was asking because a lot of times when a product comes out and then it's hard to get, Apple will get like a trickle of products, and if you time it right, you could go to the Apple store and get one just as it shows up. And I asked, were they getting in a few machines every once in a while? And no, there are no machines. There's nothing available. Um, Mid-April there should be
wow.
something showing up. But so yes,
yeah,
very, very popular.
And was this the Madison store, or what store were
Yes,
you at?
yeah,
Yeah, Madison,
yeah, it's
Wisconsin.
in
So yeah,
Madison.
not too out of the way, and also in pretty much a college market, or could be considered a college market amongst other things in Madison. So yeah. Well, one of our watchers and one of our friends, Brian, my wife and I just returned from the local Apple store. We got a chance to see the Neo in person. So that's exciting to hear that he had that option and an opportunity to see it. But he also admitted he wasn't looking to pick one up. We just wanted to see it yet. So yeah, and his favorite color. Let's see, his favorite color would be indigo. My wife was split. She liked the citrine, but appreciated the bluish keyboard from the indigo. Okay. So let's get into some stories. The first set of stories focuses on the benchmark stuff that people have been doing. I picked this story up and thought it was interesting because it was author had done some Geekbench CPU single core testing, and he felt it was a little bit misleading. So he went on and did some other testing with Magic Disk benchmark. And still, if you take a good look at this article, there are some interesting, he did some extensive stuff in terms of comparing it to the M5 Pro and also the base M2 Mac Mini. And surprisingly, some of these the M2 and the M5 Pro, of course, were faster in a lot of things, but also did a Galaxy S25 Ultra phone and looked at Geekbench single core and looked at the differences there. The M2 is left in the dust, he says, according to Neo performs in the ballpark of the best ARM devices on the market today, which makes sense as it was the best iPhone chip just a year ago. And then more Geekbench CPU multi-core. Audio conversion I thought was interesting. MacBook Pro M4 Pro had a quick audio conversion, but the Neo was good, and the M2 was not as good in terms of the audio conversion. It really has some really good tests on it for folks exporting video. You see the differences between these. Of course, the MacBook Neo is not as quick as the Mac Mini M2 or the MacBook Pro M4. He was exporting from DaVinci Resolve. Yeah. So, I don't know. Interesting article there.
I'll throw a comment in here. My
Yeah.
my view to this, all these Geekbench measurements is this is a gosh darn good Mac that,
Yeah.
that performs pretty well. I mean, yeah, I'm not expecting it. I have an M5 Pro. Yeah, I'm not expecting it to be anywhere near what that machine does. I notice a big difference with the M5 Air and the M5 Pro. With when it comes to performance, I mean, it's the M5 Pro signs in quickly. It's a good performing machine. The Neo is just going to be a good machine to be able to just have basic stuff. I mean, I can't see how I'm not surprised at all that it's not sold out, because they apparently didn't anticipate it was going to be this crazy of a response. I mean, my gosh, I mean, if you're going mid-April, it's not too bad. It's like 2 or 3 weeks, but still, I mean, MacBooks have never been that crazy off the shelf like this one.
Yeah. I agree with you, Dave. And as I read through these articles in this particular section about benchmark and performance,
Yeah.
these guys or whoever's writing them seem to come in with really heavy use. There's one on photography where the guy is using a studio, and he's like, well, my studio did it in 44 minutes, and my my Neo took 71 minutes.
I mean, that's
Really?
not that
That's
bad
fine.
for an A18 Pro processor. Think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, my gosh, 71 minutes on a 4K video that he did. That's amazing for this
I
machine.
think this was importing raw photos.
There you
He
go.
had like 1,200 raw photos, and it,
Of course, it's gonna take time.
and he's like, oh yeah, be sure and use the back port because that's the one that has
makes the difference.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, Apple's disclosed that from the get go.
yeah, yeah. This is the article right here. Jim Fisher from PC Magazine.
Yeah.
He pushed the brink with Lightroom and 8K video. I got news. Here's a news
8K.
flash. I am not editing 8K video on my MacBook Neo.
Yeah.
So yeah, I looked at this article too. This one really caught my eye. But even if you look at today's iPhone 17 Pro, which has the processor which is one generation newer than what's in the MacBook Neo, the camera system in the current iPhone Pro doesn't even let you shoot 8K video, much less edit it on the device. So it would seem like this is really expected behavior, that the Neo wouldn't do well with 8K video, but can handle 4K video relatively well.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
8K video is still new. I mean, there's not a lot of people doing it out there, and there's still not a lot of monitors or being able to view it. I mean, yeah, it's great. I'd love to have an 8K monitor and be able to view it and be able to edit it, but it's still, I mean, it's not being adopted that quickly. I mean, yeah, it's there, and just like any other technology, when it comes out, it's going to be a while, and it's crazy.
yeah. Well, the if you read when you read the article, again, the links will be in the show notes for everybody. And
Right.
we're just kind of talking conceptually about it without details, but it's an extensive article. The guy puts it through a series of different sorts of video and photography tests, and does a fairly good job of doing those tests. It's just his expectations are like, oh, I've got a Ferrari and it doesn't go as fast as a VW mini wagon. You know, surprise, surprise. Yeah, it's just and I think Craig's comment was, I concur with what we've been saying, I think, or maybe it's about the color of the MacBook Neo.
Yeah.
In this article, he says, you know, a lot of people like to shoot 8K video because then they can take it and size it down to the particular part of the scene that they want. And I'm like, really? But yeah. So it's Lightroom
but
performance.
that's in professional workflows, not something that anyone who's going to buy a Neo is going to use.
Yeah.
But like you said, Brett, I mean, no iPhone is going to shoot 8K right now. You're going to have some pretty serious camera to be able to shoot 8K.
Now, this is the one. I noticed that Neo takes longer to import images from a memory card versus a newer Mac laptop. I loaded photos from my A7V review into 2 terabyte Lexar CFE card that's rated for snappy 3,600 megabytes per second read speeds, and use the Lexar Professional Workflow card reader to download the galley to the Neo. It took about 71 minutes for 1,200 RAW plus JPEG pairs. That's 2,436 files total, and about 80 gigabyte of data. Lightroom splits the files between import and preview creation with the Neo. I ran the same import on my wife's 2025 M4 MacBook Air. It took 44 minutes in total. So yeah.
Yeah, again, it's expected behavior. The Neo's not going to perform like the higher end laptops out there because it's using an iPhone chip, but it's still the fact that it still even gets the job done, I think, is the amazing part.
Yeah, and to be fair, the import itself, you can get to the point where you can disconnect your camera or disconnect the card before that amount of time is up. You just can't edit the images quite yet because it still has to finish the preview stuff. So the important part of the import goes a little bit faster than that. Yeah, if you're trying to do thousands of pictures, it's pushing it. The issue I had wasn't the import time. It was more of I didn't have a good enough network. And so if you have a really fast network as it's importing, it'll offload your images to iCloud. So it doesn't matter that you only have 500 gigs of space. However, if you are trying to do the import with no network or minimal network, it can't offload the images. So after the first 1,500, 2,000 images, you might run out of space. I did.
Okay.
But I also import onto a phone and into an iPad. So performance-wise, this is fine. The biggest difference is just not having a Thunderbolt port.
I'm going to jump to a topic. There are 2 articles we have on cooling mods, if you want to call it that. This I just don't understand. You know, it is taking a VW minivan and putting a Maserati, expecting it to run like a Maserati.
It's been done.
I know. But why would you want to? It's Liquid cooled
Why not?
MacBook Neo performs 18% better in a Geekbench Geekbench 6 versus stock. And he used a Peltier cooler in this process. YouTuber used multiple cooling mods to make liquid cooling mod possible. Hey, listen, if I want to do a cooling mod on any of my computers, I just knock over my bottle of water. And it works just as effective.
Well,
I like the one that was a block of ice in a Ziploc bag that they set it
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
I mean, it's just like PCs. Good.
I think Marty's cooling mod of knocking over his bottle of water means he buys a newer, faster computer.
Yeah. And that
So he always
speeds,
does.
that's right. That speeds it up. This guy,
It
there was,
certainly does.
he, first he applied a copper cooling mod to Neo's A18 Pro inside, replacing the stock graphene pad with a copper shim sandwich between the A18 and the thermal paste on the bottom of the thermal pad. They should have not put screws in it. They just should have not put screws in it. Yeah, so that's one
Now,
article.
I
Go ahead.
think it's important to point out that a whole lot of these cooling mods shuttle heat from the processor into the bottom case cover. And when manufacturers make machines, there are limits to how hot that case cover can be. So the mods might make your chip run cooler, but your lap would not be cooler. So it's there's pluses and minuses to this, and I for most people they should not be playing with cooling.
Yeah, I think
Don't heat up your lap.
this article is more for entertainment purposes than it is any source of
Yeah.
recommended action of what to do.
Yeah, this is not an endorsement. It's not on our part to do this.
And you got hobbyists that are doing PCs all the time. I've seen it all the time with cooling mods. But they have legitimate hardware that goes into these desktop PCs. But for a MacBook Neo, this is a little bit top.
Yeah, the only thing I imagine it for, and I've seen articles to this. There's plenty of this is all over Reddit. There's plenty of folks who were, and somebody just posted one recently that said they increased. This might have been in another Slack that I'm in. They increased the speed by like 60% by doing a mod on it, and this is probably for gamers. And one of the articles who was doing the modification said I could get this speed, which allowed me to run this game where I couldn't run it without having the mod on it. So, we have a second article. I won't go too much into it, but it is Silver Neo with external SSD dock thermal pad mod that they're using with it. So that gets us out of the benchmarks and performance category. There are a lot of articles about testing and reviewing. This one coming out of MacRumors. Then our favorite character, Tom's Guide.
I'm
Tom's
sure they
Guide.
said positive things.
Well, you know what Tom's Guide does? It does a wonderful job of pointing out the obvious. Right. It's sort of there's not a lot of hard hitting. We compared the article is MacBook Neo versus MacBook Air M5 versus MacBook Pro M5. Which one is best for you? Now they had some, I think, inaccuracies in the article because, let's say they put their own editorial touch on it, but their own special editorial touch, which was basically to say talks about the highest specs, and then with the opposite is true of the opposite end. The MacBook Neo is the MacBook Pro of the opposite end is the MacBook Pro M5, which starts at basically they said, if you're just going to surf the web and maybe answer email, that's about all the power that the MacBook Neo has. And besides, you're only going to get 256 gigabytes storage. They by exclusion, I don't think they tested a model. I don't think they looked at anything else that was written about it. They just made these assumptions and put it in the article. And frankly, this is not a release week article. This is 2 weeks after release that they decided to publish this in terms of comparison. So ZDNet does a pretty good article in terms of MacBook Neo versus iPad Air. And I think that is a question for a lot of folks. Should I get an iPad Air or should I get a MacBook Neo? Again, it's two different operating systems. It's two different, generally, without purchasing a keyboard for the iPad Air, it's two different methods of input. So, I'm glad ZDNet is doing it, but it's also kind of an obvious thing. And then Forbes gives 3 reasons to buy, 3 reasons to run, and 3 reasons to run away when it comes to the MacBook Neo. And guess what one of the reasons is? One of the reasons is it doesn't have a lit keyboard, I think. These things have lots of ads thrown in them. So yeah,
Yep.
that's that I think covers this section basically on reviews and comparisons. And again, these links will be available for you. And then some interesting articles that speculate on the market impact and other trends that are happening. And one in particular I want Dave to talk about because he's kind of our PC Windows connection. But first article here is from Yahoo Finance. And I was fascinated by it because it talks about MacBook Neo will shake up Google's Chromebooks and Windows PC. Analyst says it opens the door for Apple in this segment. So it's kind of acknowledging the things that we have assumed.
Yeah,
This is yeah.
It's going to
Dave.
happen. I mean, it's going to happen. I mean, there's going to be a point where Google's got to be concerned with this is disrupting the industry. I mean, I remember watching Marcus Brownlee, MKBHD. He says that this is the most disruptive product that Apple's ever introduced, and it's going to disrupt Windows. Microsoft already has its problems with Windows 11. I mean, they admitted that there's all these people complaining about what it does and what it is doing, and there's discussions about where Windows 12 is going to go. I mean, it's getting painful with Microsoft. Apple, I think, was smart when they introduced this product, and it's gonna be a solid product. Wait till the fall when we got. I'd love to hear what all the education. All the schools are doing once they start realizing. I know you've had that discussion too, Marty. You're at your university, that they're seriously interested in this. This is going to be a very disruptive product, if it isn't already.
Yeah, well, I am walking into a meeting tomorrow with a couple of people who are I'm going to be doing some training with. And I'm deliberately bringing my MacBook Neo,
Attaboy.
just to provoke them a little bit.
Well, how will they know what it's a MacBook Neo unless you tell them, though?
Well, I think they'll figure it out because I think we're going to be sitting closely around a table, and I'll be quiet about it for a while and then see if somebody notices it. I'm taking my
Hey, is that a new
indigo,
computer?
taking my indigo
that'll do
in.
it.
So we'll see.
So, well, and I was just gonna say it's also really hard because you can't take a PC with similar specs, you know, like eight gigs of RAM, and expect it to actually work. And with memory prices going up, hard drive prices going up, it is really hard to turn around and then try and come up with a decent processor video and all the rest and ship it at anywhere close to the Neo price, much less have a machine that doesn't flex and droop all over the place when you go to pick it up. They might be able to make progress if they use Snapdragon chips, but I don't see that happening really soon, and I think there's a software compatibility problem with that. So it's a really hard thing to match.
I'll spin this off to on the Windows side of things. A PC, the standard RAM is going to be 32 gigabytes. It has to be because I mean, running on 16 now is just doesn't cut it in the enterprise world. They had so many some companies still have homegrown products they're still working on. You got web-based products, apps are going to be running pretty hardcore, and it needs the RAM on a PC. But on a Mac, you tend to be able to get away with it. But standards are going to we've always been in that world where RAM has to be a standard. So you're going to go with a base like the M5 of 24 gigs. If you go an M5 Pro, you're going to go. We can get 24 gigs, but you're going to go up to 30. You could go up to 36 gigs, and same thing with hard drives. I mean, it's crazy how expensive hard drives have gotten, and RAM too. I'm kind of crazy when I go to buy a lot of external drives. I mean, you can't even get a 1 terabyte drive for less than $200. It's crazy.
Well, let me seal up this this article on the financial piece that was done with Yahoo. They got some good people in here to talk about it. Futurum Group, Olivier Blanchard spoke about it. Apple's new MacBook Neo laptop is designed to make the Mac experience more accessible to Windows PC users who are envious of the MacBook ecosystem. Then Ming-Chi Kuo, of course, they talked to him. And near term, this likely means the market share and profit pressure. Longer term, it opens the door for Apple to build a brand and ecosystem that advantages the entire market. And then Francisco Geronomino is vice president of client services at IDC, told Benzinga, the MacBook Neo will have a significant impact on low-end PC segment, particularly in education, which accounts for 6.7% of the global PC shipments, or 13.4 million units in 2025. So it's an interesting article in that way. And then, surprisingly, and this was a bit of a catch for me. I found an article that was in Spanish originally. But I saw enough of the translation, not that I understand Spanish, that I knew it had something to do with Windows. And I did the translate on it, and
it works good.
The translate works really well. But it was basically someone installed Windows on a MacBook Neo to see if 8 gigabytes of RAM was a problem. And I think they used Parallels.
Yeah, Parallels. Yep.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts on this if you had a chance to look at it, Dave?
Yeah, no, I'm shocked. I mean, here's another reason why this Neo is a solid machine. I'm telling you. Parallels is not has. I mean, I've been a Parallels user for years. I mean, I'm probably going back 15 years. I've had since like version 4, and they're version 20 now, I think it is. And it's just been a solid. It's a very very solid program now. Parallels was a struggle for over the many years, but ever since once they got it ironed out with the silicon processors, it's been working really well. Well, this isn't the silicon processor. This is an A18 Pro processor, and it's for it to be that solid. I have not tried it yet. I need to. I really want to now, and see how Windows 11 runs. And yeah, it works really well. And don't forget, you can do Linux, and you can do you actually can do a virtual Mac too. You can do Tahoe and all the older operating systems too. So
Yeah, I'm looking at this article, and it's for that the MacBook Neo with Parallels is a solution that works flawlessly. It makes perfect sense for a student who needs educational software that doesn't have a Mac version.
exactly.
It's been a while since I've used Parallels, and the reason I gave up on it, well, no, it was the dual boot
Well,
that
that's
it
long gone.
originally set up, and I would say, yeah, I want to open this in Word, and I'd click the document to open in Word, and it would move from the Mac side and open it up on the Windows side, and I'm like, I don't
Now it
need to
doesn't
be
work.
jumping the fence every time I
Yeah, you don't have to.
want to do that. Yeah.
Not anymore. I mean, they purposely have links. When you say open with, and it'll say, oh, the Windows choices are there. So if you
Yeah.
don't have the virtual machine open, it's going to open it up and run it, and open it right into Word or Excel or whatever other app that's not in a way that it works on the Mac. So, but more and more you're seeing things that are working, like someone who needs Microsoft Access, which they're crazy if they do it this day and age. But I mean, just having any application that is like that, because there are apps that are still out there, companies are still using, and even consumers too, that it is very very solid. And I've been meaning to try that. I think I'm gonna. You've really now inspired me with this article. Just try it out here now. I mean, I have two licenses. I can bounce them around, so I have it on two different machines. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It also
we've
works.
got. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Eric.
I was going to say it also works really well as a thin client, so you can
Yeah.
remote into another Windows machine or remote into like a Citrix type server or whatever, and then it's a regular PC running it. You're just getting the display part, and it has no
Right.
problem with that.
Yeah, the Windows app is what you would use if you got to go into Windows. And I'll tell you, the Windows app's got its pain points too. Let's face it, it's a Microsoft product. So, but it does okay. But when you're dealing with a lot of security setups these days, especially with MFA, it's trying to get that to work properly. I've been seeing some experience. Had some experiences with that, and it's tough. It's tough to get it to work.
Yeah, and Brett, have you used any of this Parallels or such?
No, but the thing that caught my attention on this article was that Windows did work so well on the Neo. And I found that surprising because how long have we been hearing from Apple that the secret sauce is the integration of their software and their hardware? It's the way Apple designs their operating system and their apps that lets them get away with using less
Yep.
physical RAM in their devices. And so to hear that Windows runs well on this was a bit surprising because I'm pretty sure they're not using those same tricks and techniques that Apple has to run on a device that doesn't have as much physical RAM and storage on it.
And we've got a question from the chat room that came from Craig. He said, "What about boot camp?"
It's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah, that's in the history books.
That was Intel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hated boot.
Do we
I
think
hated boot camp.
if
I'll be honest.
Windows if Microsoft makes the jump to using ARM chips, do you think there's a chance Boot Camp could come back?
No.
No.
And I guess I should follow that up a tiny bit. Brett, you were talking about Rosetta earlier, and so the plan I can't. Is it the next operating system or the one after that where Rosetta goes away and isn't available?
It 27 will drop support for Intel hardware. 28 will drop Rosetta.
Yep.
Okay. So, but that's also kind of interesting because a lot of people are talking about what about longevity with the Neo? Are you better off getting a MacBook Air or a Neo if you're planning on using the machine for, several years? And the answer seems to be twofold. One, if you use the Neo for 3 years, you've gotten enough out of it, even if you have to turn around and buy another Neo afterwards. It's half the cost of a MacBook Air. And then the other part is if Apple goes through and makes the operating system more efficient by not having Rosetta, it takes up less disk space. Maybe it can run faster if it doesn't have to account for that. All of those changes go to kind of extending the life of a machine like the Neo that's coming out now. In a couple of years, maybe it'll get another performance boost just from software optimization.
This just came in today in the mail. This is there's a bunch of other articles that are in the show notes worth looking at. Reviews by MacRumors of the article is a MacBook Neo review. Can Apple's cheapest laptop handle real work? And again, it goes over many of the things that we've discussed. I think the discussion section, sometimes the comments that people add are a lot more enjoyable than the actual articles if you've read enough of this. But I want to share this one thing that guy who's in the news a lot lately, David Pogue, posted to his blog, his Substack, MacBook Neo, 90% of the laptop, 54% of the price. It is a very complimentary article with a lot of humor in it about the MacBook Neo, how it fits in, what you don't get for $500, the difference between that and a MacBook Air. And then sort of he makes the side comments, yeah, you don't get it, but who really cares? And so an interesting piece by David Pogue. And it's a good extensive piece, and he talks about the Neo concept. And I'll make sure and put that in the show notes. I got it in my email as following his post today and saw it and set it aside and then forgot to put it in the show notes beforehand. So, good article by David Pogue, as expected, but specifically for us Neo users. So I'm going to go to part of the last parts of our discussion here, which we talked about or mentioned, accessories. And there is a Reddit thread that we'll put in there that talks about best accessories for using, for taking with using with your MacBook Neo. I'm using my Neo for two purposes right now, or will be using it for two purposes. And I'm not sure I'm going to use it for the second purpose, but for the purpose of going to school every day and give lectures, sit in meetings and things like that, it's running perfect for me. I do have some trouble with some of the stations that I plug it into in the classrooms that I'm in. It just does not recognize it. And sometimes it does. So it's very, I haven't quite figured that out. But for me, what I'm going to have in my bag, and I have an Indigo Neo, so I decided I needed to get an Indigo bag. And it's a rather thin bag. It's a 14-inch. So there's a little bit of space in there. but it also has some really nice external pockets on it. It is a Mosiso bag that I managed to get, but I'm gonna, what I'm gonna carry with me is a multi-port dongle. There's one that I have, and then if I want to use, and Eric, you got one of these too. I know David got one. This
Yeah.
David got this a Casus external SSD, and I managed to get a 1 terabyte SSD in there, and it's got all sorts of ports on it, and it has a 100 watt power throughput. If you want to have a 100 watt power throughput on it for whatever machine that you've got it hooked up to. And Eric, you got something similar.
Yeah, sorry I got distracted because you were showing me that bag, and I thought, wow, I wonder if this will work. Do you remember way back in time the wetsuit?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's got like a metal plate on one side. That happens to also fit the Neo. But that wasn't the thing I was going to talk about. That was just as a happy happenstance. Um, so let's see. Can I see it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
That
got card reader,
yeah.
CF Express on one side, a USB-C port on the other, 10 gigabit per second. So definitely the same speed rating as the Neo. And because I needed something to pull images off of a camera and
Yeah.
video. And it works well. It's nice. It's small. It's light. And I guess one other thing I would mention is the cost of the Neo makes it so you can go places like a coffee shop or have it propped up on your car or on the top of a wood stump or the edge of a rock ledge and go and do stuff without the panic inducing sense that something might happen to like a $3, $4, $5,000 laptop. So there are a lot of people mentioning I just have a Neo because I can set it next to the sofa or next to the bed and I can use it and I don't cringe every time somebody comes near with a glass of water or soda or whatever, and it's just less not as stressful. Or I have a Mac Mini. It does everything I want, but I have to go to it to use it. Got the Neo, I can do all my browsing, everything else, and it's nice and relaxing.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. For travel, if I was going to do some serious travel with it and some work on it, I would carry an external monitor. I just need a second monitor
Yep.
to work on stuff. That's just how I am when I travel. Also, you can. It's suggested. It comes with the charger. That's the 20 watt or whatever it is charger,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's suggested that you can get another charger, a higher wattage charger, like a GAN charger. And I found a plug that I forget. It might be Anchor that makes it. That has a retractable, like a 2.5 foot retractable cable in it that's 65 watts. So that looks like a possibility for travel with it. But basically, back and forth to the office, I really like what are they called? Native Native Union sleeves.
Oh,
But then I realized, and
nice.
this is great if that's all I'm taking. But
Yeah.
generally, I've got, if I'm going to work, I've got to, and I'm going to teach, I'm going to have to take a dongle. Then I'm going to have to maybe take a folder with me with some stuff in it. So I needed something a little bigger, and with more compartments. So that's why I got the bag that I got. Brett or Dave, any additions for accessories?
Nothing recently. I'm still using SportNet hub that you recommended. It's working great.
Yeah.
Did any of
So
you get a chance to test it with like an iPhone battery charging?
Mm-mm.
no, I haven't.
Yeah.
No, I
No,
haven't either.
for me, for accessories, the nice thing about the Neo is coming off of a original M1 MacBook Pro with the touch bar is that a lot of my existing accessories work with it right out of the box. So it helped keep costs down and not having to buy a bunch of new stuff. And so I have my in-case sleeve that I bought for my 2016 MacBook Pro with the dreaded butterfly keycaps on it. And I've been able to reuse that for my subsequent two laptops, being my M1 MacBook Pro and now my Neo. And when I go, this is primarily for when I'm away from home. So and mostly traveling. So being very minimalist in what I carry along with me for it is really important. So I have this nifty little bag I picked up from someone I think last year at a conference I went to, and I try to keep all my stuff in here. It's really great. I have a Anchor charger in here that I've used for my last few laptops. It's got two USB-C ports on it, and I keep my I have a 10-foot USB-C cable that I just use for charging. Let's see. I have a couple USB-C to A adapters. Don't know whenever you still need those. And then finally, I do have a uh, card reader, and but getting this is more of a function of my GoPro cameras. When I hook them directly via USB cable to my computer, don't like to transfer video reliably. So it's been more reliable to just take the little micro card out, put it in here, and transfer the video that way. But yeah, I go real minimalist when I travel. So being able to reuse all the stuff that I have existing has been a real benefit of having the Neo.
All right. Well, we've run into almost. Well, we'll soon run into a second hour. So why don't we close out for now?
Yeah.
It's surprising, and I didn't think there would be that much to talk about this thing, but it just
Yeah,
keeps rolling.
you found a lot of
Yeah,
articles.
yeah. Well, I found more than we were able to share, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just good stuff going on there. So let's go ahead and find out where we can find you, and we'll start with Eric.
Hanging out in the woods looking for birds. Otherwise, Mastodon at eabolden at mas.to. Of course, Sunday nights here discussing the Neo. Monday nights chatting about Vision Pro. Tuesdays, Mac Voices Live, discussing Mac OS and news near the start of the week. Thursdays, In Touch with iOS, is covering iOS, iPad OS, Mac OS, really everything OS, and all of the news through the rest of the week.
All right, David.
Yes, you can find me at In Touch with iOS at intouchwithios.com. The YouTube channel is youtube.com/intouchwithios. Here on Sundays, Mondays on the Vision Profiles podcast with Marty and Eric. Tuesday nights on Mac Voices Live with Chuck Joyner and all the gang there. Thursday nights we record In Touch with iOS, and Fridays on the Mac Show on the British Tech Network. You can my social media, Blue Sky, Mastodon at DaveG65. Thank you.
And Brett.
Yeah, you'll find me hanging out on Mastodon these days. My handle over there is bkennedy at twit.social. And otherwise, I'll be here next Sunday to talk for another hour about the MacBook Neo.
Oh, I'm so happy with you guys, and happy that we've got something to talk about. You can find me at Gencius, Jencius, on all the socials, and you can also find me Vision Profiles Sunday night at 9 p.m. with Dave, Eric, and Daniel when he joins us. Chuck show on Tuesday with Mac Voices at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube. And then Thursdays with In Touch with iOS with Dave. And his show is again 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find it on YouTube if you want to watch the live stream. Have the Mac show on Friday mornings at 11 a.m. In Eastern Time. And then basically just go to thepodtalk.net. I've been working on the website the last couple of days. I think I have all the links straightened out. Thepodtalk.net will tell you about a bunch of shows I'm doing. Things on AI, things on 15-minute bites on cooking and tech, and Fade to Chat, which is kind of a movie review thing that I do with Cindy Rotz. Thepodtalk.net. And I've heard so many comments that you're missing this and you're missing that. This weekend I slimmed it down and got all the content straightened out on the website. So that'll tell you where you can find me. You can follow us on live stream at youtube.com/@NeoNotebook, Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Catch the live video later on YouTube or the audio on any podcatcher service. Hey, the Pod Talk Network at gmail.com is where you can send us email if you have questions. I am going to get all the links in and all of the product links in if I can. I'll do that because I see Brian's asking for some stuff, and I'll get it in the show notes. And so you'll be able to search for those objects and spend some money. We don't get any kickback from Amazon or whatever on those. Just it's fun to be able to look for different product. That's learn more about Neo Notebook and all of our shows at thepodtalk.net. Spread the word to other neophyte users. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time. You like the neophyte comment?
I did.